Hi everyone! Today we have a lecture with the topic Hypodynamia, physical activity for disease prevention. By hypodynamia we consider lack of physical activity during everyday uh, activities or physical inactivity. This situation could be very often met in such work position as office managers, librarians, IT service operators, and so on. And for you it also very actual because study, attending lectures, and working at libraries at the university are very often characterized by physical inactivity as well. Actually, sedentary lifestyle characterized by lack of physical activity is spread everywhere, and it requires special attention to avoid negative healthy outcomes. There are a lot of scientific data considering physical activity and negative effect on health, both physical and mental, emotional, as well as cognitive functioning. So during this lecture we will just briefly consider different outcomes. For example, on this slide there are data derived from the web resource of CDC, Centers for Disease Control and Prevention. The harmful effects of not getting enough physical activity. Firstly, they are mentioned heart disease. Not getting enough physical activity can lead to heart disease, even for people who have no other risk factors. It can also increase the likelihood of developing other heart disease risk factors, including obesity, high blood pressure, and high blood cholesterol. Also type 2 diabetes included. Type 2 diabetes is not getting enough physical activity can raise a person's risk of developing this kind of diabetes. Physical activity helps control blood sugar or glucose, control weight, blood pressure, and actually facilitate to rise a good cholesterol type and lower bad cholesterol type. Adequate physical activity can also help reduce the risk of heart disease and nerve damage, which are often problems for people with diabetes. And the third one is a cancer. It mentioned that getting the recommended amount of physical activity can lower the risk of many cancers, including cancers of the bladders, breast, colon, and other organs. These effects apply regardless of weight status. This is just a brief representation of data published by Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, and later on their web resource link will be presented. So out of this lecture you will be able to visit this web resource and familiarize yourself with details and features that you individually more interested in. Also, this web resource is quite suitable for you as a student of medical university concerning different subjects, not only physical education. Also, it is necessary to mention that physical inactivity can significantly reduce your performance capacity, not only in the physical activity sphere, but also in your academic performance as well, because both types of activities connected tightly with metabolic reaction in organism. Actual physical activity in a moderate or vigorous level can maintain your metabolic reactions that allow you to derive energy and facilitate or even enhance your brain functioning, central neural system functioning, as well as your cardiovascular system and respiratory system. That's why it's necessary to maintain a balance between energy that we derive and we produce and we spend, and maintain optimal level of physical activity. And by optimal level we mean personalization, because each of us are individual with unique physiology, morphology, and so on. And according to this uniqueness, we need to try to find out the way how to stay healthy, stay physically active, and at the same time to be productive in the main activity that we are involved in. For example, if you are a student, your main activity is academic study. If later on you will be a medical specialist, your main activity will be work. And to be productive in both of these scenarios, you need good health and high enough cognitive functioning, intellectual, and so on. And the key, one of the most important factors is physical activity. And this short passage should be a brief introduction of the positive outcomes of physical activity. Next slide also was constructed based on the data from Centers for Disease Control and Prevention. Reference link will be provided later. The health benefits of physical activity include improved sleep, increased ability to perform everyday activities, improved cognitive ability and reduced risk of dementia, improved bone and musculoskeletal health. Those four, it's just most obvious and very important for everyone, but there are a lot of more specific outcomes for health status. Getting enough physical activity along with eating a healthy diet is the best way to maintain a healthy weight. People who want to lose weight may need to get more physical activity and reduce calorie intake. And this recommendation of course is 100% correct, but we should consider the individual characteristics of everyone, especially physiology, morphology, how body works, how our organism reacts on physical workload, and so on. The more you are getting knowledge about physical activity, about fitness, about endurance, stamina, strength, agility, flexibility, training methods, recovery process, healthy diet, and so on, the more successful you will be in finding the optimal balance between physical activity and rest, between eating habits and calorie calculations. Here we are watching the web resource of CDC, Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, and subcategory concerning physical activity and preventing chronic disease. As we mentioned before, regular physical activity prevents us from some chronic conditions such as type 2 diabetes, heart disease, many types of cancer, but also depression, anxiety, and dementia, and other psychological and cognitive health outcomes could be prevented by regular and systematic physical activity. Also, on this website we can see the health outcomes concerning cardio aerobic activity enhancement, muscle strength, and also general recommendation about the volume and intensity every day concerning physical activity that should be maintained, and how many minutes, how intensive, how many hours, how long distance, and so on should be covered on the everyday basis. So I strongly recommend you to visit this web resource, probably the others, and also it will provide you with more detailed information concerning your specific professional or academic interest. Being physically active means to devote a particular amount of time every day to walking, jogging, running, weightlifting, swimming, bicycling, and so on. But it doesn't mean that we can miss physical activity performing our important goals, such as study, participate in practical sessions, or at work performing our tasks. Sometimes the study specifics or work specifics require from us a particular movement, physical activity, energy expenditure. So we should measure and decide, is this level of physical activity moderate, or vigorous, or below this level. And according to this decision, we should take some steps in the way to bring balance for physical activity maintenance. Sometimes we need some more knowledge and skills to change our habits, such as, for example, wake up earlier and make warm up before the day starts, or change our habits how to spend our afternoon. For example, instead of staying home and watching some televisions, we could choose instead to make some healthy walking or bicycling, go to fishing, or spend some time in the park. Sometimes it requires from us not only all knowledge, but also our attitude and our motivation towards physical activity, because everything we do in our life is connected tightly with emotions, and the purpose of physical education is, one of the purposes is to bring joy and pleasure connected with physical activity, with sport activities, and so on, because these require our motivation. And out of the school, out of the university, for example, when you will be working as a professional, it's up to you what type of leisure time you will choose: watching television and eating some snacks at the same time, or to choose to go to park and or go to exercise at the gym and so on. Physical activity basics. The evidence is clear. Physical activity can make you feel better, function better, and sleep better. Even one session of moderate to vigorous physical activity reduce anxiety, and even short bouts of physical activity are beneficial. Being physically active also fosters normal growth and development, improves overall health, can reduce the risk of various chronic diseases. Also, it is important to mention that during this pandemic situation with COVID-19, we should show our creativity in the way how to make an exercise. For example, if going to a gym is quite problematic right now, we can find some solutions, some ideas. For example, to use a chair or table or floor or all other items of in our houses to make a training set. And this use of imagination also is quite motivational one. So here on this side we can see some reference to some suggesting some ideas that we can use. For example, here we have an article devoted to how to be physically active while social distancing, and here we have some examples I see for children, adolescents. Maybe this information can give you some ideas and foundation for creating your own training sets. Also here on the same website we have a suggestion and recommendation about walking. How is it important? Simple at this end, at the same time very rewarding if we choose to perform this kind of exercise on an everyday basis. So for adults is recommended to perform at least 150 minutes of moderate intensity aerobic physical activity or 75 minutes of vigorous intensity physical activity, or an equivalent combination each week. The guidelines also recommend that children and adolescents be active for at least 60 minutes every day. Every day, 60 minutes, being active. Following these guidelines can contribute to overall health and decrease the risk of chronic diseases such as heart disease, cancer, and or diabetes. Walking is a great way to get the physical activity needed to obtain health benefits. Walking does not require any special skills. It also does not require gym membership or expensive equipment. A single bout of moderate to vigorous physical activity can improve sleep, memory, and ability to think and learn. It also reduces anxiety symptoms. As was mentioned before, physical exercises and such simple as a walking can enhance your academic performance, and for you as a student it's one of the most important productivity factors, being active, physically active. One more bonus for choosing walking is to spend time with joy, because we can choose the road, we can choose the landscape, surroundings, and to have a mental recreation when we will perform this kind of exercise. Just imagine you choose to walk through the park. Of course, it's a beautiful place, and more oxygen, more trees, leaves, grass, and other details that we can switch our attention from one thing to another, and training our aerobic endurance. We also contribute to our mental relief, psychological relief. Probably it will facilitate our concentration and thinking about our subjects, making our homework, for example. Of course, walking one of the most universal exercise. It does not require specific skills and technique, but also it allow people from different age groups to perform this kind of exercise. Especially it's important for elder people. For example, walking can improve bone and musculoskeletal health. It is well known that the older people are, their more fragile their bone tissue is. So physical exercising or walking or Scandinavian walking can actually not only influence endurance, cardiovascular system state, but also facilitate regeneration of bone tissue. It will protect bones of elder people from fractures. Sometimes, especially in winter season, here in north is quite an issue, because the road, the ways are covered with not only snow but ice, and it's quite slippery. And the elder people is one of the most the age group who had a predisposition for this kind of health issues. Also, musculoskeletal health depends a lot of exercising. For example, for you as a students, as a youth, it's quite important to develop endurance and strength, and improve your musculoskeletal health, because this is the time when you development still continues, your body can development still continues, and you can contribute a lot in this development by including physical exercising or training in your everyday routine. For elder people, the risk of development of dementia sometimes is quite an issue, and among other factors, the factor of physical activity is one of the most important one, and it requires a lot of effort sometimes to introduce or enlarge the volume of physical exercise during every day. And the earlier we start to pay attention how much physical activity is present in our life, the easier it will be in the future to make some corrections in this volume in order to prevent us or facilitate recovery. Also, for elder people, is quite important to prevent cognitive ability from some kind of degrees in functioning, and this is very tight correlation between regular physical activity and not only cognitive ability but also academic performance. So it sometimes requires more uh, oxygen in our organism, in our body, to uh, make solutions, make decisions, uh, think harder. Uh, we take exams, we go to lectures and making our homeworks, and it all requires of our academic productivity, and we can enhance this function by introducing or enlarging physical activity. Now let's talk about endurance and why it's so important to enhance it or maintain a particular level during not only our adulthood or when we are young, but also throughout our old lifespan. Endurance or stamina is one of the most fundamental conditioning factor in our organism. It allows us not only to run longer, run faster, but also to perform our everyday tasks and operations with quite a high level of quality for a longer period of time. Also, endurance allows us to recover faster after some kind of exercise, training sessions. Increased ability to perform everyday activities depends on stamina. Developing endurance, we targeting on the improvement and functioning of such organism systems such as cardiovascular system, respiratory system, central neural system too, and cardiovascular and respiratory system are responsible for the energy production of our organism. We can develop more energy and we can enhance our immune system responsiveness by performing endurance specific exercising. Such exercises could be presented in the way of running, sometimes walking with high intensity, swimming, bicycling, jogging, cross-country skiing, and other. One of the most specific and characterizing criteria in evaluation is this exercise influence endurance development or not, is the duration. In other words, how long can we perform, how long we are performing a particular exercise. For example, walking. If it's 12 minutes, 15 or even longer, that means our cardiovascular system is getting stimuli for adaptation and for development. But as it was mentioned before, the intensity should be moderate to vigorous. So this is the optimal level of workload. The higher the intensity, higher than vigorous activity, the more risky this kind of exercise is. And other situation, if the workload is below the moderate intensity, that means we just spending energy. Sometimes it's a good thing, but we just losing and spending energy without necessary loading of our organism systems. Physical activity in such examples as walking or jogging require energy, And for people who try to change the way they appear, their appearance, try to fix the sometimes problem with obesity or excessive weight, these exercises one of the best options and universal, because of choosing walking or jogging we do not need some very sophisticated or specific equipment. We just need a pair of running shoes and define the road, the park where we can perform this kind of exercising. And a good way to start with is to pay attention for a distance or the time spent during this exercising, and it's a good motivation to perform it gradually, step by step, longer distances covering or spending more time during this exercise. Normally people perform half an hour or even longer, making this kind of training routine. Also, it requires predominantly aerobic energy system, energy production. That means that you can recover faster after this kind of training sessions. In opposite way, if you choose exercising like for example weightlifting for a short period of time, it will involve anaerobic energy system production, and it will require a lot more time for you to recover. And if you choose if your target, your purpose of this kind of exercising is to lose your weight, to make some correction in your appearance for example, the best option is to choose exercises with aerobic energy system production, such as walking or jogging. And one of the most important time criteria is 15 minutes or longer. Sometimes it could be quite difficult and challenging for you to perform jogging 15 minutes. You can use your creativity and make some corrections. For example, walking alternatively with jogging. So if you are tired, you can change from walking to jogging, from jogging to walking. If you recovered and feel you can do your best, you can change to jogging again, and so on. Also, making walking or jogging, you can not only increase your endurance, but also prevent your body from heart disease, types 2 diabetes, and other negative health issues. Cardiovascular system and respiratory system are depending a lot on the everyday presence of physical activity. If inactivity is predominantly present in our everyday routine, that could significantly diminish your cardiovascular system productivity, and over the years it could be developed some negative chronic healthy issues, as for example heart disease, obesity, high blood pressure, high blood cholesterol also could be present in the set with the heart disease. So choosing to be physically active every day, you can tremendously defend your organism from development of some very serious and problematic diseases, illnesses. Scientific data demonstrates that some kinds of physical conditions such as strength, flexibility, agility, or endurance are genetically predisposed, and during the lifespan we can change them differently. For example, agility is well trained during childhood, and strength, for example, could be developed with high progress during adolescence. But concerning endurance, it is well known that this condition is neutral, and by neutral is meant that during all lifespan people can change it significantly, can improve it significantly. It's so, as example, it's not a surprise when you see older people who are making walking, Scandinavian walking, for example, every morning. That means that they choose the moderate level of activity and the most simple and universal exercise. With, for example, Scandinavian walking, they use sticks in addition, and these sticks allow them to transform their weight more in more optimal balanced way. So their joints, like knee joints or ankle joints, are not hurting them, are not suffering from them. And such examples, such exercises can help and facilitate improvement of endurance. And maintaining endurance, you also trigger immune system responsiveness. So if you are physically active, when you involve aerobic energy system production, you not only have a training of your cardiovascular system, but also you influence your immune system. You enhance ability of your immune system to be effective with different pathogenic organisms, such as viruses, for example. But even if you get a cold, catch a chill, you can recover faster if you have a good endurance, good stamina. To increase our productivity indirectly, that means when we have a situation when, for example, we catch a cold, we do not miss a lot of days, sometimes weeks, because of illness, because we recover faster. But sometimes when we even avoid these seasonal illnesses, such, for example, as a flu or other respiratory diseases. So indirectly it allows us to be more productive in our job or when we are students at our study. So in overall, as a conclusion, we can make this highlight that being physically active not only protect us from some very serious health issues such as heart disease, type 2 diabetes, or cancer, and so on, but also it opens up and allow us to increase our productivity, increase our activity spectrum, enlarge our lifespan, increase our quality of life, and so on. So sometimes it requires not only sport facilities to make some physical exercising, but skills and knowledge. And the most important factor in this subject is your personal interest and motivation. Having both of them, you can find information on the web, find information in consultation, for example, in the gym. When you want, you go there and talk, discussing with your friends different kind of sport activities, and concluding all this information, collecting all of them, you can summarize it and choose the best option for you at a particular period of time and place. What to do, what kind of training you prefer best. For example, you like cross-country skiing, and you can discuss this topic with your friends or with your colleagues, or in the even sport shop, what kind of equipment you need, and what is the best option for you as a beginner in cross-country skiing, what protective gear you need, and what kind of nutrition you need additionally, for example, and so on. So physical activity is one of the most important and interesting topics to discuss, and I think that choosing this sphere of your interest, you can add diversity in your everyday routine. You can avoid some monotony connected with, for example, study, a theory study. Sometimes it's quite difficult to concentrate, and you are not motivated. But if you make a balance between study, theory, and physical exercising, you can bring harmony and get motivated. As a conclusion to this lecture, I would like you to go through the test question section on the Moodle platform, right below the video lecture reference. Go through the questions and pick up, I hope, the right answers. And I would like you to make some notes next time when you will watch the video lesson, or even when we will come here at the university. And I wish you the good start for this new year of study. I wish you to get only the best marks that you can achieve, and stay healthy, and be physically active. Avoid physical inactivity. Develop your endurance, and enhance your cognitive abilities. Be more productive, and if you have any questions or suggestions, you can address it to me during in the Moodle platform, sending the messages. And so I wish you a good day. See you soon. Bye bye.